it's Chris-Ann and welcome. Today we are going to be making some coffee and tea stained papers, and we're going to be breaking the rules doing it. There are so many techniques out there for doing this. But let me show you my quick and easy way that I like to do this. I like to use a spray bottle, very simple spray bottle that you get from the dollar store. I fill it up with my son's leftover coffee. And then the other thing that I do is I fill it up with water all the way to the top. And then I use some instant coffee, any instant coffee you have. You can use leftover coffee, you can use leftover tea. I have a collapsible funnel. I pour a little bit in, I fill it right up. This one's pretty much already made, but that just shows you the general idea of how I go about doing this. You know, everybody always has leftover coffee and leftover tea, so this is a great way to utilize all of that and not have it go to waste. So what I do is once I get this all filled up, I give it a really good shake. And then I go about and I just spray my papers. Now, here's where my thing differs. So what I do is I spray the papers, I put it aside, I take another paper and I immediately put it on top. Why am I doing this? Because I want to get the coffee or the tea staining on both sides of my paper. So now I already have my already sprayed paper there. I spray this one. Now I am using simple 20-pound copy paper, the cheap stuff. And I just keep doing this. Now, I only do this during the summer when I can keep my papers outside in the hot sun, because that is what is sort of cooking them and setting them. I don't do this in the winter. I don't have the space to do it because I'm utilizing the sun to dry these in a very quick manner for me. Now, you might think this is just crazy, but it isn't. It works. So here's a pack that I did earlier. I like to weight them down on my deck with a rock, and I just keep rotating them. This one is still wet, but you can see they're getting colored on both sides. So I'm going to add that one to my collection. I put it aside. I put the rock on top of it. And just to show that yes, they do come out great, here's a pack that I made yesterday. They are nice and dry. See, this is why I have to keep a rock on it. These are nice and dry. They have that fantastic crinkle. Don't you love that crinkle? So these are what you can use in your junk journaling. You can use these as backgrounds within your cards. And don't think that you only can do plain paper like this. You can also do the exact same thing to old book pages. Make sure it's a book that's not a first edition or anything like that. My mom gets me the books at the dump that have already been thrown away. And if the plunger gets a little clogged, I give it a shake. Yeah, see there it goes. And then I just make a stack of book pages. Now let me show you some things that I have already created with these pages to maybe give you a little bit of an idea. Oh, and I also want to show you this. When you take your coffee container, just put it on your paper and look at, you get these fantastic designs right there within your papers. How beautiful is that? So I'm loving all these different patternings and different designs. Now this is just one way to color paper, is with a spray bottle. Of course, I also do the dip method, all of that type of stuff. But here's an example of what you can make utilizing these papers. So this is a page that I created. These are stamps that I carved, and I inked around the edges with some green ink blending, stamped Catherine Pooler inks, using some stamps that I carved. Here's another one that I created. Same exact, oops, let me take that off of that. Same exact colors. You can see I stamped a tree that I carved the stamp for, and then I ink blended at the bottom some hills and different things like that. But you can see they're colored on both sides. So these I can put in a junk journal. These I can create cards with. Pick a thing that I can use those with. here's the other thing that I love to make with these papers. I have a whole series of stamps that I like to use that are tickets and postage. So what I do is I'll just sit down and I'll stamp an entire sheet using all of these great stamps. And then I just cut up the sheet, and then I have these bags of goodies ready to use in my junk journaling, in my card making, etc., or give as gifts for people. So I have all different types that I like to stamp up and I like to create. So think of what you can simply do with these really easy papers. And as you can see, when I'm doing this, I'm creating an entire stack at one time. This was yesterday's stack. So this paper is relatively inexpensive. It's simply 20-pound coffee paper. I'm using either leftover coffee, but I'm kind of adding to it with the instant coffee. And the other thing that I like to do is I like to sprinkle some of the coffee grounds. When I'm filling it in my funnel into my bottle, sometimes some of the coffee grounds spill out. I scoop those up and I sprinkle them on my wet paper. And that gives a little bit more interest as well. So I hope this gives you some ideas. I keep rotating this stack, so it's gonna sit this way, I don't know, maybe an hour. Then I'm gonna come outside, I'm gonna flip it over again. I'm standing on my deck, so this is right in the bright sun on my deck. And I just keep rotating these. I will divide them and take them apart and go like this. Maybe, I don't know, 2 hours in or something. But that way they all get dried. Sometimes the center of the pile stays a little wetter than some of the edge ones, so I rotate them. Super easy. Takes me 2 seconds to spray them. They do sit outside for an entire day in the bright sun, and then they're ready to go. But it's breaking all the rules by just stacking them on top of each other, spraying them, stacking them, spraying it, stacking it. Super simple, super easy, and it's effective because it's coloring both sides of the paper. And I know for me, if I'm using these as pages within my junk journals, I want both sides to have some interest. So I hope that helps. Have some fun with this and be free.